Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a wonderful week like always. Today I am continuing with my Michael Jackson discography journey, and we made it to his ninth studio album from 1995, which is actually celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, called History, Past, Present, and Future, a Book One. Now, this is a dual disc release. There are two discs. Disc one was a greatest hits CD of some of his best hits up until 1995. And then disc 2 was a brand new album filled with a whole bunch of new material, 15 tracks worth, and the album is 1 hour and 17 minutes. Now, I don't recall hearing any of these songs except for track number 1, Scream with Janet Jackson, and track number 9, You Are Not Alone. What I love about the album right off the bat is the title of the album, History, but the HIS is capitalized, so it's his Tory, so his story. I thought that was really clever. Now, you guys have been hyping up this album for the longest time. I know a lot of you watching love this album, and some of you even choose this album, his History album, as your favorite Michael Jackson album of all time. There were also 6 singles released from the album, and You Are Not Alone was the first song ever in history to debut at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. I don't really have anything else to say right now, so let's just jump into the album. Track number 1, Scream, which I already listened to on this channel when I went on my Janet Jackson discography journey. When I listened to Janet Jackson's Design of a Decade compilation greatest hits album from 1995, I did listen to this song. That album, that greatest hits compilation album, was released in 1995, the same year that Michael released his greatest hits / new album, History. But you know what? Because I love the song so much, I am gonna listen to it again for you guys. So let's get into it. Track number 1, Scream. Alrighty, that was track number 1, Scream, and I love this song so much. The more I listen to it, the more I love it, if that's even possible. I don't know, but this is definitely one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs of all time. It always gets a lot of aggression out, and if you ever feel pissed off and angry, this is a great way to let out some negative energy. Now, I am going to bring it up because I imagine it's going to be a big theme on the album. It says here that several of the album's 15 new songs pertain to the child sexual abuse allegations made against him in 1993, so 2 years prior to this album's release, and Jackson's perceived mistreatment by the media, mainly the tabloids. Because of this, the album is regarded and described as his most personal album. I feel like Michael Jackson has always been tabloid fodder since the 80s, and now it was just accelerated with the child abuse allegations, and This song is very much a response to the allegations, I imagine, also what people were saying about him, the tabloids, news stations, just people in general, the public, and I can only imagine what it would have been like for him to turn on the TV and the news and to see his name sprawled in bold capitals across the bottom of a screen, not praising him or saying something positive about him, but being nasty and negative towards him and what was happening in his life at the time. Tired of injustice, tired of the schemes, kinda disgusted. So what does it mean? Kicking me down, I got to get up. As jacked as it sounds, the whole system sucks. He says, you're bashed, abused, victimized within the scheme. You find your pleasure scandalizing every lie. Oh, Father, please have mercy, because I just can't take it. Stop pressuring me. Make me wanna scream. And then about halfway through the song, it slows down, and Janet starts saying, oh my god, can't believe what I saw as I turned on the TV. This evening, I was disgusted by all the injustice. You could just hear the aggression and anger in his voice when he's singing the song, and I mean, I can't even articulate how stressful and how damaging this era was for him. The early 90s to mid 90s, the late 90s, even into the 2000s as well, up until his death in 2009. And this is something that I did experience before listening to the song, but I did today when I listened to it. There are times during the song where I felt like I was at a mental ward, that I felt like I was genuinely going crazy as I was listening to this song. It was the production. The production was great on this song. And the screams. I genuinely felt like I belonged in a psych ward as I was listening to this song. I felt like I was going crazy. Can I also say that I love the music video for this song as well? When I was going on my Janet Jackson music video journey, which I'm actually ending this Saturday, tomorrow actually, which is very sad. But when I was going on my Janet Jackson music video journey, I watched this music video for the first time, and I fell in love with it. I think it's a great music video. I am very disappointed that this song did not go #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was close. It reached #5, but to me, 5 isn't good enough. This song definitely deserved to be #1. I am curious if the reason why it didn't go #1 is because of the public's perception of him now, and people perhaps weren't listening to his music as much. I don't know, was he blacklisted at one point during this time because of the abuse scandals and what the tabloids were saying and his circumstance? Was he perhaps blacklisted by certain radio stations? What was it like? Yes, that's what I want to talk about. What was it like during this time in 1995? If you were old enough to understand what was happening at this time, what was it like? What was the media circus like? I really want to know. Obviously, I could research it myself, which is probably something I will do, but I want to hear it from you guys. What was it like for you, especially if you were a big fan of Michael at the time? This must have shook a lot of fans to their core. Did you believe the allegations? Did you not? I'm very curious to know what it was like back then during this time for Michael Jackson, not just for Michael Jackson, but his fans as well. So now let's move on to track #2, They Don't Care About Us. Already, that was track #2, They Don't Care About Us. And this is another very aggressive song. And it's a great continuation of track #1, Scream. And he's pissed off. I mean, pissed off isn't even a good enough word to describe what he's feeling in these songs. He's aggravated. He is ready to just he's flipping out right now. Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Situation, aggravation, everybody allegation, innocent on the news, everybody dog food, bang bang shot dead, everybody's gone mad. He says, I have a wife and 2 children who love me. I am a victim of police brutality. No, I'm tired of being the victim of hate. You're raping me of my pride, for God's sake. I look to heaven to fulfill this prophecy. Set me free. Now, I actually did forget that he was married at this point to Lisa Marie Presley. They did marry in 1994, but they did divorce in 1996, so a year after this album came out. And I also forgot that he also has 3 children: Paris Jackson, Michael Joseph Jackson Jr., and Prince Michael Jackson II. I really did enjoy this song as well. I didn't enjoy it as much as track number 1, Scream, but I still enjoyed reading the lyrics, even though they are quite aggressive. I really liked the production on this track as well. It's very rock oriented, and I don't know, I'm feeling angry as I listen to this album. It's definitely the production and his vocals. He is pissed off, and because he's pissed off, it's definitely rubbing off on me. The energy is rubbing off on me, so I am feeling quite negative as I listen to this album. Michael Jackson also gets political in the song as well. He brings up Teddy Roosevelt and Martin Luther King Jr. He says, but if Martin Luther was living, he wouldn't let this be. Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. So he's saying that if Roosevelt was alive, if Martin Luther King was still alive, that these things that are occurring in the media and just through America, brutality, the violence, the hate, and just the abuse, these things wouldn't happen if these prominent political figures were still alive. It says here that They Don't Care About Us is a protest song and remains one of the most controversial pieces Jackson has ever composed. In the United States, media scrutiny surrounding allegations of anti-Semitic lyrics were the catalyst for Jackson, and he issued multiple clarifications. Michael countered the allegations, arguing that reviews had misinterpreted the context of the song, either unintentionally or deliberately. I will say though, this song has strong relevance today in 2020, especially with what happened earlier in the year with George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. It even says here that the song gained renewed attention and relevance due to the use during Black Lives Matter protests in 2014 and 2015, and again in 2020. So even though Michael Jackson is singing about his own personal life in these songs and what he was going through, a lot of people can still relate to these songs, not to the extent that Michael did when he wrote them, but a lot of people can find something in the lyrics and perhaps relate to them in some way. I can keep rambling on about these songs. I'm just so fascinated with his life at this time. Anyway, we have to move on to track number 3, Stranger in Moscow. Alrighty, that was track number 3, Stranger in Moscow, and we slowed things down just a little bit with this track, and it's definitely not as aggressive and angry as the prior 2 tracks, Scream and They Don't Care About Us, but It's a very cold and empty, lonely song. So I feel like we're going from anger and bitterness and hostility towards loneliness and just feeling empty and cold. I am curious to know as to why he chose Moscow as the city to sing about in the song. Does he have a special connection with the city? Or, I don't know, when I think of Russia, I think of snow, I think of cold. So, I don't know, maybe he was alluding to that, just feeling cold and alone in a place that he wasn't used to. In the lyrics, he does say KGB was dogging me, and I am aware of the KGB and what they are. I don't know too much about them, but they are, or they were, the secret police force that was the main security agency for the Soviet Union from 1954 until 1991. Then it split into the Federal Security Service and the Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation. How does it feel when you're alone and you're cold inside? How does it feel? Like a stranger in Moscow, Lord have mercy. This is a very isolated and lonely song, and I felt a bit empty as I was listening to it, as though I was walking by myself through the streets of Moscow by myself, not knowing anyone, being a stranger, because I've never been anywhere before in my life. I've never left Canada. I've never been to Europe or anywhere. And the song is a response to recent events in his personal life, including his relationship with the press and the accusations as well of the child abuse. This was another song I enjoyed listening to. This album isn't making me feel the greatest. It's not a positive album by any means. And it's very aggressive, and it's very, he's just pissed off. He's alone, and he is just angry, and he's just lashing out. He's screaming his lungs out, and he's alone. He's scared. He's frightened, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that this isn't the sort of album you have a good time to. This isn't the sort of Michael Jackson album you dance to, that you play at a party. So now let's move on to track number 4 this time around. Alrighty, that was track number 4 this time around, and there was a featured artist on the song, the Notorious B.I.G. Somebody's out to get me. They really want to fix me, hit me, but this time I'm taking no shit. And then he goes on to say he really thought he really had a hold on me. He really thought they really had control of me. I also feel like there are themes of paranoia in some of these lyrics. Listen, I've got problems of my own, flashing cameras, taps on my phone. Even in my home, I ain't safe as I should be. Things always missing, maybe it could be my friends. They ain't friends if they robbing me, stopping me from making a profit. Apology shallow like the ocean. And then finally it says, if I was dead, broke, and smoking, I'd probably be by my lonesome. I mean, Michael Jackson wasn't even safe in his own home. He wasn't even safe with his own friends. And I imagine he probably felt like at times he wasn't even safe around his family. He truly was alone during this time. And he felt like he didn't have anyone. I can't imagine what that feels like. Just not being able to do anything, not even being able to go to your home because you're scared that your phones are tapped and the police are watching you and all these agencies are out to get you and people distancing themselves away from you and the possibility of also losing money. because he was the biggest pop star at the time. He is still the king of pop, but just his reputation was also going down the drain as well. Just his whole world was falling apart, and the craziness and the aggression, the bitterness, being so hostile in the lyrics, scream, they don't care about us, alone, stranger in Moscow, just everything. It's just a very. I can't even articulate how it must have been for him at this time. So now let's move on to track number 5, Earth Song.
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the peace that you pledged your only son?
Already, that was track number 5, Earth Song, and wow. There's so much to unpack in the song when it comes to the lyrics, just like all the other tracks on the album and so many of his other albums. His lyrics are always so powerful and meaningful. I will say there are quite a few co-writers on all of these songs, upwards to 13 co-writers on a song. So that's interesting. I'm just always used to Michael Jackson being the sole writer on a song. This song is continuing with Michael Jackson's humanitarian work, his want to change the world and make the world a better place when it comes to starving children and climate change, the state of the world, and what have you. Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, these weeping shores? He also goes on to say, I used to glance beyond the stars. Now I don't know where we are, although I know we've drifted far. He says, what about nature's worth? It's our planet's womb. What about animals? Turn kingdom to dust. What about elephants? How have we lost their trust? What about crying whales and ravaging the seas? What about forest trails burnt despite our pleas? What about children died? Can't you hear them cry? This is another song where just by listening to his voice, you can just hear the sadness and the anger that he's feeling towards his love for the planet and the children, and children dying from war and famine, and the world dying, and the planet succumbing to forest fires and climate change, our abuse of the planet, and what we're doing to it. This song does take me back to Heal the World, the iconic song from his Dangerous album, which I love. I also love how a few of these songs on the album so far are more rock influenced, which I love. I love classic rock music. I also love the choirs. This song in particular, I love a good gospel choir. And whenever there's a gospel choir in a song, I always just fall in love with it. So I will say that track number 5, Earth Song, is probably one of my favorite tracks on the album so far. So now let's move on to track number 6, DS. Already, that was track number 6 in DS, and this was a very interesting song, for me anyway. I don't know who this Tom Sneddon man is, the man he keeps singing about in the song. It says here that the lyrics are interpreted as an attack on Santa Barbara County District Attorney Tom Sneddon. Sneddon controlled the investigation into Jackson following the 1993 accusations of child sexual abuse against him. Michael was angered by the allegations, his perception of being mistreated by the police and media, and the negative effect on his health. What I did love about the song was the return of Slash. I mean, Slash was featured on Michael's prior album, Dangerous, and let me tell you, the more I listen to Slash, the more I am falling in love with that man and his brilliant gift. I mean, I love listening to that man play. I mean, I can't help myself. I'm obsessed now. I'm obsessed with Slash. I might have to dig into some Guns N' Roses albums now. We are also continuing the rock theme of the album, which I'm really enjoying. It says here that as part of the investigation, Jackson agreed to a strip search of his body at Neverland Ranch. The strip search was ordered by Thomas Sneddon Jr., the district attorney that he's singing about in the song. I actually completely forgot about Neverland Ranch, and it says here that Michael purchased the estate in 1988. So this was another very aggressive song, and he is lashing out, he's frustrated, he's angry. That's definitely one of the main themes of the album, just his anger and emotion.
So you call it trust, but I say it's just in the devil's game of greed and lust. They don't care. I'll never betray or deceive you, my friend. But if you show me the cash, then I will take it. If you tell me to cry, then I will fake it. You will do anything for money. Anything for money. For the money. Say it's there. You see what for the money. Do anything for money. Anything for money.
Alrighty, that was track number 7, Money, and wow, I don't even know what to say. Wow, this was there is so much happening on this album, just lyrically. I really like the part where he whispers, "You would anything for money. Lie for it, spy for it, kill for it, die for it." In the devil's game of greed and lust, they don't care. They do me for the money. They don't care. They'd use me for the money. He says anything for money, would lie for you, would die for you, even sell my soul to the devil. If you ask me to lie, then I will tell him. If you're stealing with God, then you will hell him. When he says the lines, if you ask me to lie, then I will tell him. And when he says that, I feel like this song might be about the accusers, how they will say anything for money. And during the whole scandal and controversy that was his life at this time, people would have done anything for money. Use his name for money, tabloids, news coverage, these accusers, just anybody and anyone around him. It does say here that the song is apparently directed at the father of the boy who made the 1993 molestation charges, and to whom Jackson paid a multi-million-dollar settlement. The boy later admitted to lying for money. Is that true? Is that true? Please tell me. I'm just reading what someone wrote here, so is it true? People are also saying that he is warning people about the Illuminati, which is whatever. I mean, that's a whole other thing. I mean, there's so much symbolism that people pick up on when it comes to songs, and I mean, Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Lady Gaga, every single prominent, famous artist has released songs that are supposedly about the Illuminati and the imagery and what have you. I feel like this is a very important song because money does make the world go round and people will do anything to achieve it. Lie, steal, manipulate, kill, murder, just anything. A lot of times, human decency goes out the window when it comes to achieving money, especially when it comes to great amounts of money and can give you a better life. I mean, people will essentially sell their soul to the devil to achieve as much money as they can, even fame. So now let's move on to track number 8, Come Together. Alrighty, that was track number 8, Come Together, and I have no idea what he's singing about in this song. To me, it's just gibberish. Come Together Right Now Over Me. He bang production. He's got Walrus Gum Boot. He's got Auto Sideboard. He wants Spinal Clacker. She's got feet down through his knees. This is the very first time I've ever listened to a Michael Jackson song, and I have no idea what the fuck he's singing about. I'm confused. I'm a little shook. What is this song about? I need to know right now. Okay. It's from the Beatles album Abbey Road, which I've never listened to before. I've been meaning to listen to that album for the longest time, but I never got around to doing it yet. Oh my god. I feel so embarrassed for myself right now. It says here that Come Together was inspired by a request from Timothy Leary to write a song for his campaign for Governor of California against Ronald Reagan, which promptly ended when Leary was sent to prison for possession of marijuana. And this song was written in 1969. It does say here that Rolling Stone ranked Come Together at number 202 on their list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, and number 9 on their list of the Beatles 100 greatest songs of all time. Well, I definitely feel like an idiot now. I can't blame myself though, because I've never heard the song before, and I thought this was an original Michael Jackson song. It says here that Michael Jackson actually covered the song in 1986 and was recorded for Bad, but was scrapped and instead put on this album instead, History. I wasn't the biggest fan of this song, but if I was to listen to the Beatles version, maybe I'll like it a lot more. But this definitely isn't one of my favorite tracks on the album. Please don't crucify me when I say that, because I know that this is apparently one of the best Beatles songs ever. It's one of the greatest songs of all time. It didn't really resonate with me, but like I said, I have to listen to the original Beatles version. Maybe I'll like it a lot more. But I will say I did like the production on the song. It's very rock influenced as well, just like so many of the other songs on this album. So I'm loving the production on this album so far. So now let's move on to track number 9, You Are Not Alone.
Another day is gone. I've been asking me to go. I'll be there. You are not alone. You are not alone. I am here with you. I am here. Though we fall apart, you're always in my heart. You are not alone. Not alone. Together,
Alrighty, that was track number 9, You Are Not Alone, and I absolutely adore this Michael Jackson song. It was one of the very first Michael Jackson songs I ever downloaded when I was a teenager, and I remember listening to it quite a bit back then, and it did help me through some tough times in my life, and I really do like everything about it. You are not alone. I am here with you. Though you're far away, I am here to stay. You are not alone. However, this song was written by R. Kelly, which I like the song, but I don't like the controversy surrounding R. Kelly. I did watch the documentary Surviving R. Kelly, so whenever R. Kelly is featured on a song, I typically don't listen to it anymore. I don't listen to R. Kelly music. But I still like this song, so I'll probably continue listening to it, even though he did write it. R. Kelly is another very controversial musician who's had a lot of press, and just recently had a lot of nasty things, horrible things exposed about him. It says that the song was written by R. Kelly for Michael Jackson in response to difficult times in his own personal life. I don't really have much to say about this song other than it's one of my favorites on the album. It's probably one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs of all time. And it's just very meaningful for me and a lot of people. It's just a very beautiful Michael Jackson ballad. So now let's move on to track number 10, Childhood, which is the theme from Free Willy 2. So it looks like he made another song for a Free Willy movie. The first one he did was from his prior album, Dangerous, which he recorded Will You Be There, which I absolutely, don't get me started on that song again. Let me tell you, I've been listening to that song nonstop since doing my first listen video of Dangerous. I still think it's one of the best songs he's ever recorded, and one of the best songs from Dangerous, and one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs ever.
I'm searching for the world that I come from. Understands me. People say I'm not okay, 'cause I love. I've never known. People say I treat that way. I've never known. My child.
Okay, and that was track number 10, Childhood. And before you judge me, try hard to love me. The painful youth I've had, have you seen my childhood? Lyrically, this is probably one of the most heartbreaking songs on the album. No one understands me. They view it as such strange eccentricities, because I keep kidding around like a child. Even as a grown man, he is still searching for his childhood, the child within himself, because he never had a childhood. He had to grow up so fast, so he was never able to participate and do the things that a child typically does when they're young. Now, I don't know too much about Neverland Ranch, but I'm kind of making the connection between Peter Pan, childhood, the song, and Neverland Ranch, how he never had a childhood, and the amusement park, and all that. And also his close relationship to children, and the realization that children were being hurt all over the world and starving, and he just wanted to help the children of the world. Now, what I'm saying right now, I feel like is controversial territory. I don't really know how to navigate my way around this subject, but I'm just making the connection. I'm just connecting the dots the best way I can. I'm also not voicing my opinion as to whether I believe Michael was guilty or not. I'm not headed in that direction when it comes to my commentary. I want my opinion to be very much neutral. It says here that childhood is a biological reference to Jackson's difficult years as a youngster, such as the relationship with his father, Joseph, and the pressures of being world famous from such a young age as the leader of the Jackson 5. Now, this was something I knew about already, how he was allegedly physically and emotionally abused by his father. And you can tell that it was pretty traumatic for him because it still affects him to this day. In 1995, when he put out this album and this song, it says here that Joseph would allegedly often trip up or push his sons into walls. One night, while Jackson was asleep, Michael Jackson, Joseph climbed into his room through the bedroom window. Wearing a fright mask, he entered the room screaming and shouting. Joseph said he wanted to teach his children not to leave the window open when they were asleep. For a number of years afterward, Michael suffered nightmares about being kidnapped from his bedroom. And of course, both of his parents have denied the long-standing abuse allegations. So we have Michael being abused as a child, and now as an adult, there are these accusations of him abusing children, so that's that. So now let's move on to track number 11, Tabloid Junkie.
In the news today, from the strange and weird fact file, singer Michael Jackson sleeps in an oxygen chamber.
He's homosexual. She's blonde and she's bisexual.
Just 60 seconds at you, Michael Jackson.
Already, that was track number 11, Tabloid Junkie, and this song is pretty straightforward. He's acknowledging and addressing all the rumors about him, not just the allegations of the child abuse controversy, but also everything else that the tabloids were saying about him at the time. There are snippets of news broadcasts throughout the song of news reporters saying the singer says that the hyperbaric chamber has the benefit of reversing the aging process. And speculate to break the one you hate, circulate the lie you confiscate. He also says just because you read it in a magazine or see it on the TV screen, don't make it factual. And you'd be surprised, there are a lot of adults out there, grown adults, who don't seem to realize this. It's very beneficial to learn this from a very early age, that you can't trust everything you read in the tabloids, obviously, and everything you watch on TV. Seems to be common sense, but there are still a lot of people who take everything they see on TV as factual. Especially when it comes to political figures or celebrities who you trust and you love. You look up to this person, so you trust everything they say. Even when what they're saying is a lie, you still believe them because you adore this person. They say he's homosexual. In the hood, frame him if you could, shoot to kill. And he also brings up this blonde bisexual person as well. I don't know who he's referring to. And he also says to lie and shame the race, heroin, and Maryland as the headline. Similarly to Leave Me Alone and Why You Want to Trip on Me, the song was written by Michael and shows his dissatisfaction with the media, particularly the tabloids, because of the bias and negative media coverage of false rumors and the child abuse accusations. This is something that Michael has struggled with since very early in his career, all the way back to his Thriller years, perhaps even before that. He has always been a tabloid darling, and he's always been tabloid fodder and an easy target. Even though I wasn't alive during that time, the 80s, just from reading the lyrics to his songs and doing a bit of research, Michael Jackson has always been quite the rumor mill, I guess. He's always been a target of rumors and such. So now let's move on to track number 12, Too Bad. Already, that was track number 12, Too Bad, and I feel like this is Scream Part 2. It did remind me of Scream quite a bit, and I liked it. I adore the production on this song. I adore the production on this entire album. What am I saying? I adore the production on each and every Michael Jackson album. Now, the song did have another featured artist, I want to say another rap artist, but he's not. I don't know, did he put out rap music? I don't know, but it is Shaquille O'Neal. Of course, he is the former American professional basketball player. Hasta la vista told me that you're doing wrong. Word out, shocking all along. Cried wolf, ate like a man. Throwing rocks to hide your hands. You ain't done enough for me. You ain't done nothing for me. You are disgusting me. I feel like this song is also about the child abuse allegations, rumors and gossip and what have you. Something that he's played around with quite a bit on this album. Obviously, that's the main theme of the album, all of the media coverage and allegations. Track number 12, Too Bad, probably isn't a song I would really go back to if I was to listen to history again, which I will. I am liking the album. I'm not having a good time listening to the album in the sense that I'm reading the lyrics, and it's quite heavy dealing with everything he was going through at this time. It's not the most positive album. It's not my favorite Michael Jackson album, I will say. But I'm still liking the stories that he's sharing with me. I'm learning so much more about Michael Jackson and his life, things that I didn't know before. So now let's move on to track number 13, History.
The Berlin Wall comes down.
I am the Edison phonograph. The new world.
Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream things that never were and say why not.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Wow. There's so, like, where do I start? Okay, I'm gonna keep this brief because I feel like I could talk, I don't know, 20 minutes about this song, which I can't, I won't, but oh my god, there's just so much. I feel like I had a brief history lesson listening to this song, and it's definitely one of my favorite tracks from the album. I love how there's all these different monumental broadcasts throughout human history, detailing and announcing great triumphs like January 15th, 1929, Martin Luther King is born, and November 10th, 1989, the Berlin Wall comes down, and I Am Edison photograph created by the great wizard of the New World. And the last part was remarkable. Some men see things as they are and say, why? I dream things that never were and say, why not? I don't know who said that. I think it's an actual live broadcast. I don't know who actually said that, but great words said by that man. And the very last snippet was the iconic moon landing. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And he's also singing about the children, every child should sing together in harmony. And he also says, I feel like one of the most important lines of the song, every day create your history. Every page you turn, you're writing your legacy. And that's how I always viewed my life, is everything I do in my life, I'm essentially writing the book of. And I'm writing my own legacy. And I want to be at an age much older than I am now, when I'm 80 or 90. I don't know how long I'm gonna live for, but I want to be able to look back at my life and be proud of everything I've done. Obviously, I won't be proud of everything. I make mistakes just like everyone else, and my life isn't perfect. I'm just hoping that when I am at an old age of 80 or 90, whatever age it is, and I'm on my deathbed, I'm hoping that I can look back at my life and say, you know what? I did good, and I'm ready to go now. This is honestly the longest video I've ever recorded on this channel, and I record my videos on my phone, and it's getting to the point where my battery's actually running out. This has never happened. I actually have to connect my phone to my laptop to charge it as I'm recording now. I've never had to do this before. This video is so long. What I also noticed about the song was that there was a child's voice that sounded like Michael Jackson when he was much younger. So he actually sampled himself from a younger age. It says here that there was an included quote from an interview with a young Michael Jackson from 1970. So I'm just gonna say that I really enjoyed this song, and I love the intention behind it, and this is unlike any other song I've ever listened to in my entire life, so it was unexpected, and I really did enjoy it. So now let's move on to track number 14, Little Suzie, Pai Jesu.
Somebody killed little Susie, the girl. To be dead, to know who being is dead, and we're doomed. Let's scream out. The Susie fought so hard to live. She died there so tenderly.
Alrighty, that was track number 14, Little Suzie, Pai Jesu, and this was very interesting. Once again, a very interesting song. Someone killed Little Suzie, the girl with the tune, who sings in the daytime at noon. She was there screaming and beating her voice in her doom, but nobody came to her soon. A fall down the stairs, her dress torn, blood in her hair. Her face bears such agony, such strain, but only the man from next door knew Little Suzie. And oh, he cried, and he reached down to close Susie's eyes. Little Suzie fought so hard to live. Oh my god. Ugh. I am very curious to know the story behind this song. So it looks like the song is based on a true story. It says here in 1972, a little girl who is called Suzie was murdered, and Michael Jackson composed the song for her and published it in 1995. I also imagine Michael Jackson could relate to Suzie's story, given how Michael Jackson grew up and how Suzie was abused and had a struggling life and felt like no one loved her, just like how Michael probably felt throughout his whole life. What I also liked about the song was the production. It was very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very, not theatrical, but I don't really know how to explain it. It's like something you'd hear at an opera. I guess that's the word I'm reaching for. The song really did break my heart just a little bit. Just a little bit, no, a whole lot. It broke my heart. It tore my heart apart. And rest in peace, Little Suzie. So we have come to the end of the album, track number 15, Smile.
There are clouds in the sky. That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? Smile.
Okay, and that was the final track of the album, track number 15, Smile. And this is a very optimistic sounding song given what we just listened to throughout the whole album. So he does end the album on a somewhat positive note. And it's very classical sounding. It was reminding me of something Barbara Streisand would have released, and I really like the production and the meaning behind the song as well. It says here that the song is based on an instrumental theme used in the soundtrack for Charlie Chaplin's 1936 film Modern Times. I love Charlie Chaplin. I don't really know too much about him, but I do recall watching a movie of his called The Circus, which was on Netflix, and I love him. I'm really into older movies now. It's just a weird phase I'm going through. So I love discovering older movies from the early 20th century, silent films, black and white films. It's just so fascinating to see how people lived and the way people acted back then, and just, I don't know, to me they're fascinating. It says here that Michael Jackson often cited Smile as his favorite song and recorded it for his 1995 album History. So even during all the chaos of the scandals and controversies, he's still going to try and keep a smile on his face and hopefully look towards a brighter day and tomorrow where he can finally be free of all this bullshit that's occurring in his life, and hopefully one day he finds peace and can wake up knowing that he can finally just live his life the way he always wanted to. So that is all 15 tracks of History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1, and I'm exhausted. This video, before editing, is over 3 hours. I've sat here for 3 hours listening to this album and talking about it. I went on a journey, and I really enjoyed myself, though it was difficult at times. This isn't the happiest album. It's not the most positive. It's quite angry and aggressive, and I mean, I don't need to tell you. I told you everything I could already about the album, so I don't know what else I can possibly say about the album that I haven't already, but I did enjoy the album. It's not one of my favorite Michael Jackson albums, but I still think it's a strong and very powerful Michael Jackson album. Some of his most powerful songs and emotionally stirring are on this album. Once again, I really enjoyed the lyrics. I was able to take a peek into his personal life during this time. And once again, I said this before, I felt like I was having a conversation with him and I was learning so much about what he was going through at this time. I also really liked the production. I heard a lot of interesting different genres on this album. There was rock, there was classical, there was, of course, pop and R&B and rapping. Everything was on this album. He definitely sounds the most aggressive and angry on this album compared to all his others. And lonely as well. He's had a very lonely life, and this just cements it. And he's even more lonely now in 1995 because of the accusations and the tabloids. So he just seems to be falling further down this rabbit hole of darkness and speculation and loneliness. And there's only so much a man can take before he finally just loses it and does something to himself or someone else. So, I mean, given how much pressure he was under, I'm surprised that... I don't know, like, I am surprised he didn't kill himself. And I hate saying that. I mean, I'm glad he didn't, but I'm just surprised he didn't take drastic action when it came to just wanting to end it all. This also cements the idea I had earlier, how Michael Jackson has such a big heart and he cares about the world so much and the well-being of the world, and he just wants the world to be a better place and he wants people to come together. But he's struggling with that idea on this album because of what he's going through. And he still tried to preach that message and at the same time addressing everything that was occurring at his life at this time. He just has so much love to give that he sure as hell wasn't receiving that same love back at this time in his life. I definitely feel like I could keep going on and on and on about the album and what I thought of it, but I really do want to wrap up this video. I feel like I said everything I could have, so I think I'll leave it at that, and I'll leave it to you guys to share with me your opinions on the album, what you thought of it when you heard it for the first time. And maybe some things I missed, some things I didn't pick up on. Maybe I misinterpreted some of the lyrics. You can let me know in the comments as well about that. And just any other snippets of information that I should know about. So in my next Michael Jackson video, we'll be continuing with the history era, with his Blood on the Dance Floor in the Mix album, which is a remix album. He remixed some of the songs from the history album, and he also included a few new songs as well. So I'll be listening to those songs. So look out for that video next Friday, and yes, I finally made it to the end of the video. I didn't think I would ever make it. You have no idea. Like I said already, I've been sitting on this yoga ball for 3 hours. Over 3 hours. I haven't eaten yet. I haven't had lunch yet. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna pass out. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can message me. You can tell me other artists I should check out. I'm open to any artists from any decade. You can find me on Apple Music. You can check out my playlists and so on and so forth. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to smile. Take care.